Welcome to Latina in America, your bilingual destination for all things Latina about our diverse culture, professions, and passion to travel. I am Rosie. Our special guests will share their career journeys and will take us to amazing places around the world. On some episodes, they will take you on those journeys in Spanish. Así es, en español. So come on and join me. Let's learn and travel. And in this special episode, we are celebrating new beginnings. So get ready for a masterclass in personal growth, stronger connections, and relocation with Maritza Becker, an expert in this field as an intercultural consultant. As we know, relocation is not just about changing your physical location. It is a profound journey of self-discovery and adaptation. Maritza, who has lived in multiple countries and speaks several languages, will guide us through the key aspects of a successful relocation with practical tips, the do's and don'ts, and insights of navigating the emotional challenges of leaving the familiar behind and giving yourself the experience of starting in a new country or in a new culture or even in a new state. So Maritza, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rosie. Thank you so much for having me here and for giving me the opportunity to share my experience with your audience. It is an honor to be here.
We met months ago at a networking event, Austin Businesswoman by Olga Adler. And the way we connected is because they had groups to share our ideas on a subject. And when I heard you sharing your knowledge, it was something that took me because not only your experience and your knowledge, but your passion. Your passion for what you do is what made me ask you to be a guest on the show because so many people are going to learn from you. So let's talk about your culture, your beautiful heritage. Tell us more about it.
I'm Mexicana. I was born and raised in Baja, Mexico. That is near the ocean. And it is a small city close to San Diego, California. So we grew up with the combination of two cultures, la mexicana y un poco de la americana. And then I studied international business. And after that, my world tour started. Mi primer viaje ya formal fue to Vancouver, Canada, where I learned how to love the rain and the wind. And I learned a lot about the kindness of that culture. After a few years, I moved to Germany, where I appreciate the winter and the snow, something that it was very new to me. And of course, I had the opportunity to learn as well the language, German language, with all the beautiful things about their culture as well. And after a few years, more than a decade, I would say, I moved to China. And in China, it was a very small town as well. And I learned how to appreciate the rice fields and all the nature. I learned as well to speak a little bit of Chinese. I will say the survival level. So for me, not to starve, right? And when we moved to China, we moved as a family. So my husband and my daughter. So it was a very beautiful adventure. And finally, we moved to Texas, where we love the heat and all the sunny days, the lakes, and all the outdoors activities. Imagine, I have a lot of experience moving around and emerging in different cultures, learning different languages as well. And of course, the most important thing I will say, it is that we learn how to be proud of our cultures and of our beliefs. And at the same time, to be humble enough to acquire some patches in our own personality from all the different cultures that we have the opportunity to live.
Exactly. And that's why when I met you, I said, you are the person. You are the one to share this knowledge because you have been able to experience it firsthand. And I know that there is someone out there, probably me, who knows, maybe next time I'm going to be moving to a new country. And I'm going to say, Maritza, guide me because you have this experience. I have moved from Puerto Rico. I have traveled internationally, but not living internationally. And that is one of the things that I want to ask you. The art of moving, the art of relocating, and I call it art because, like you said, it's on a personal level, taking what we know, our knowledge, our culture, and also taking that to a new country and how to blend that so we can have a beautiful experience. Now, let's talk about the relocation and the destination part of your profession. When someone is ready to move to a new country, a different culture, how is the best way to approach this decision as far as to have a successful relocation experience?
As you know, we have this multicultural family. My husband is German. My oldest daughter, she is German, Mexican, of course, with a little bit of different cultures within her. And the last girl was born in America, but as well at home, we always keep our own cultures. So my husband, he is eager to show them his culture, that is the German part, and I am as well eager to show them the Mexican culture. I always try to explain to them the importance of our culture, of our identity, and be proud of ourselves as the culture that we got the opportunity to raise ourselves. But at the same time, this is for every person that is moving to a new culture. We have to always consider this ethnocentric factor. What it means, ethnocentric factor, it is that we feel or we think that our culture is the most important culture over the hundreds of cultures that exist in our planet. So if you are moving to a new country or to a new culture, I will suggest you the first thing is to explore that new culture, to be able to listen, to be able to be a little bit more sensitive, to try to get to know this new way of living, to this new language that at the beginning, a language is not just more sound that you are not familiar with. So sometimes we get afraid of all these new changes because human beings, we love to be in control. We love to know that we have this environment settled down. And when we move to a different environment and to a different culture, we start becoming vulnerable. And for that reason, I would love to share that. Try to embrace to be vulnerable. Try to welcome to these new mistakes, to welcome to this new adventure.
And listening to you is like opening this brand new book where you're going to write new memories and new experiences. And in doing that, for the person who is considering moving, tell me how you guide going from one country to another or from one place to another. Take me to the steps that you do to help this person.
There are different stages of any culture shock. Some people are aware of that. Other people, they just feel it. And they don't know that there exists a name for that feeling. So once you label this feeling, it is very easy to understand that this is temporary, that this is something that is going to pass. But you need to identify and you need to be patient with yourself that you are going to survive and you are going to pass that to the next level. So let me share with you the 5 stages of a culture shock. Normally, my clients, they move from places to places because they have a better job or a new opportunity. So the first stage of the culture shock, that will be the honeymoon stage. You get there to the new place, and what do? You go to downtown, you go and start living as a tourist. You go and see these beautiful buildings or maybe these different landscapes. So imagine the scenery. Everything is new. You are like a newborn. Even though you are an adult, you are a newborn. And it's not going to last forever. So it's going to be maybe 1 month, maybe 2 months. And then comes stage 2. That is hostility and irritability. So what is this? Your brain, it was so overwhelmed with so many new things that you didn't have the time to process. So that's why your brain and your same body start like pushing it away. Like, hey, I don't want to change. Hey, everything back home, it is better. You start missing the food. You start missing your friends, your family. You start missing even the traffic at your city. So because your brain, it's giving you a curveball, I will say, like, hey, are you really sure that you're going to change right now at this time of your life? But that stage, really, if you identify and if you label it, it can last maybe a month. Once you start, instead of pushing it away or fighting over that, you start like, yes, things here are different than in my country, but they are not so bad. And you start looking at the positive side of your new experience. And you combine, you don't compare. You combine your own culture with the new culture. And then the stage 3, that is the slowly, but it's going to get there, the adjustment. 100% adjustment. And what does this mean? That you discover yourself and you reinvent yourself in the new culture. So what you did is you took the best on your culture and you translate it to the new culture and you make your own culture. So now you are a better version of yourself, reinventing yourself, because now you have a combination of 2 cultures instead of 1. And more or less, it happens when you are between the 5th or the 6th months within the new culture. So if you are sensitive enough, maybe you start learning a new language. So maybe you start as well to order food in the local language. Or maybe you know what you like about the food in the new culture. Maybe you know how to request a taxi. Maybe you know how to say a small talk to the people on the street. And then hits, oh, I feel not so much homesick. I feel like maybe I can live here. And that's when the stage 4 comes along. And that will be the adaptation. That will be 100% you are there. And when you have these 4 stages and you fully think, oh, wow, I hit the adaptation, that's when you are fully happy in the new culture. That's when you are independent in the new culture. And you will reinvent yourself. Basically, that's what you did. A lot of my clients and a lot of people, they don't go to a new country and they stay there for their whole life. Sometimes they move to a new culture, to a new country, or they move back to their hometown. And that stage, it is re-entry your cultural shock, because you are now reinvented yourself. You are now the version of 2 cultures. And when you get back home where you were born and raised, you are not as a local that it was just there in one place. So that's when it happens, the re-entry culture shock to your own culture.
And this has been a masterclass of the reality that is going to happen one way or another when someone is moving. And that is something that we have to keep into consideration, because if it's just yourself, you adapt and you go through all these stages and you know that there is only one person that you're responsible for. But when involve more people and each person is unique in a different way, adapting to every single one of these stages, when that happens, when there is a group of people moving, in order to honor each individual person, what advice do you give them?
The first advice that I always give is be patient with yourself. Be kind with yourself. These stages you will have to live in because they are part of your growth. So if you are kind with yourself, that's the best strategy you can give to your own experience, because we can learn every single day of our lives. If you are in this stage of vulnerability, like, hey, I am an adult, but here in the new culture, I cannot even speak. I cannot even ask for a taxi or ask for coffee. So be patient with yourself, because if you honor these stages over the new culture, you will be a different person within a year.
And that's what I love about travel. I love to travel. I think it makes us a better human. It opens our minds to a new horizon, new way of doing things, even new way of thinking. And in that stage that you are going to this new country, and let's say it's a different culture and a different language, and you do not know much about it, what do you recommend to ease that transition?
I will say it is very important to hire someone like me, for example. An intercultural consultant helps a lot, because if you have someone that understands, this person will be so kind to explain this new experience to you. And that way you don't feel overwhelmed. You are more aware that these stages will pass, Rosie. And for example, I help them to settle in the new culture, the legal process. I even help them to find a house, because as you know, my clients, they are different. Not all of them are single. Not all of them have big families, or sometimes they are single and they just have a pet. Imagine all these questions that they have when they get to the new place. So I'm going to help that your journey is easier and you are not going to be overwhelmed. Nevertheless, Rosie, for me, it is very important. I always explain to my clients, how can we navigate the difference of the new culture? I always give them a list of do's and don'ts. For example, when I travel or when I move to a new culture, I don't assume that what I know is right. For example, I don't disrespect locals' beliefs. I don't force my own culture over the new culture. I don't criticize. I don't interrupt or overstep boundaries. I don't raise my voice or I don't lose my temper. I don't overshare. Cultures are different. So maybe the small talk that a few cultures are normal, for others, no. So just listen. And I try to be very flexible. For example, when I'm in the plane, I remind myself, let's learn, observe, and listen. Let's be respectful for the local customs. Let's try to learn the language, or at least I try to learn a few phrases before I land to the new place. I try to be open-minded. And of course, I ask questions respectfully. I practice good manners. And of course, I try to make local friends.
This has been a great way for us to take on new experiences. You have given us the stages of going from one country to another. do's and don'ts, and why it's important to have some knowledge on your way and to have people on your side that can support you like you do. And to get all this information, go ahead, I invite you to go and visit her page on Instagram at Maritza Becker. And there you will find the knowledge and information, the inspiration to take that next step. So gracias, Maritza. I am so thankful for you sharing your information. I am honored to learn from you and to know that there are opportunities available for all of us, even local or international, to become a better version of ourselves. So muchas gracias, Maritza, y será hasta la próxima.
Gracias a ti, Rosy. Es un placer.
Thanks for finding and subscribing to Latina in America so you don't miss a thing. And if you like this episode, give us a 5-star review so we can be put on front of more listeners. For details and show notes and how you can connect with and support our guests, please go to latinainamericapodcast.com. Email us at latinainamericapodcast@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at Latina in America. Links can be found on the website. This has been Rosie, a Latina in America.